It's 6 o'clock on Wednesday, the 5th of February, 2020. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Christopher, bringing you the only update of the local Albanian news translated into English. The bill for the earthquake damages in Albania after the November 26th earthquake is estimated at a total of €985. After the natural disaster that caused many tragic consequences, the government presented their needs assessment report. Minister Bledi Čuçi says that this document, which was drafted by foreign Albanian experts, would serve as a guide in the process of reconstruction of the affected areas. The report is drafted according to EU, WB, and United Nations standards, and the same methodology is used in other natural disasters in the world. Along with the establishment of this system, 50,000 buildings were verified in record time, making up 80% of the total damaged buildings from the earthquake and 100% of the high-risk buildings identified. The mayors also assisted simultaneously with 4 other surveys conducted in 3 districts to identify the social-economic consequences of these households and businesses. Experts have estimated damages and losses in the amount of €985,074,906. The Albanian government will implement the reconstruction program, which requires active citizen cooperation and access. So far, we have approved a fund for the program in 18 new building areas, the program being a tremendous undertaking by this joint government collaboration. A joint mobilization of financial resources is required to address any problem, and I believe that this will happen at the donor conference. The EU ambassador recalled that Albania lacked the capacity and resources to respond to the needs that arose after the earthquake, but it was treated and assisted by the EU as if it were a member state. The biggest needs for intervention are in the housing and education sector. €985.1 million had been the total effect, €696.3 million in housing, €150.5 million in production, and €72.4 million in education. The damage assessment report will also be evaluated at the donor conference to be held in Brussels on February 17th. The EU ambassador to our country, Luigi Soreca, also attended conference on needs assessment after the November 26 earthquake. Soreca expressed solidarity for the natural disaster and is proud of the work done so far. In fact, in this house, that is Europe, in this very room, we met 2 days after the earthquake, and we were shocked by the tragedy of the November 26 earthquake. We have now convened here again after a short period of time, and we should be proud of the work that is being done to rebuild Albania. We are part of the solidarity and assistance provided by EU countries. He then stated that after 26th of November, some phases were encountered and that Albania was assisted in the same way as if it were a member EU state. The first phase was the arrival of rescue teams from the EU countries, which helped the Albanian authorities greatly in saving lives immediately after the disaster. The second phase was the arrival of a team of construction engineers who conducted the building damage verifications. 21 countries came to Albania's aid, being helped as if it were an EU member state. The ambassador said the EU would be on Albania's side. After the earthquake, the EU will stand by Albania. No country is 100% prepared to face natural disasters, and Albania surely lacks the infrastructure for this challenge. The publication of this report was necessary to bring us to the third stage, the reconstruction phase, and its publication is an appropriate government decision, Soreca said. That all EU delegations are working for this conference to be successful, and that everything will be done to help Albania in its third phase of reconstruction. This document will be used to obtain the necessary assistance from the donor conference. This conference will be chaired by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Referring to the issue of negotiations, the EU ambassador stated that the member states consider that Albania is on the right track. EU Enlargement Commissioner Oliver Varhelyi came out at a press conference in Brussels to talk about the new enlargement methodology in the European Union. He said EU enlargement in the Western Balkans is a top priority for the Commission. The Western Balkans is a top priority for us. Today, we propose concrete steps on how to improve the EU accession process. We think that we should involve more states in monitoring the process by distributing it to some institutions. The process needs to be more dynamic in order to solve more technical issues. He also focused on law enforcement and inspiring countries as one of the key elements to be closely monitored. Law enforcement is another element where we have to be open and monitor effectively throughout this process. As far as the Western Balkans are concerned, if they are ready to start negotiations, then so we are. We are ready to close this chapter in a year. but it depends on both aspirant countries and the efforts of these countries. We need to look in more detail at the conditions that have been met, so all member states need to be included in the process. After the communication, we also have a report on Albania and Northern Macedonia, and we are following it, and we may have a decision to open negotiations before the Zagreb summit. On October 19th of last year, Albania and Northern Macedonia did not receive the green light from the EU to open negotiations. France had the strongest attitude towards opening negotiations with both countries, followed by the Netherlands and then Denmark. French President Emmanuel Macron declared that he saw the opening of negotiations at the time as unreasonable, and a new methodology for enlargement of the Union needed to be applied. About 200 families in the Mersin Mema area complain about the degraded state of the roads in their neighborhood. They directly accuse the mayor of Veliaj, who went to the area only during his campaign trail. Although hopes for asphalting these roads have been lifted, they continue to raise concerns. Arian Veliaj was not even seen in Tirana in these streets, nor for any other kind of work. Tirana residents are increasingly asking the mayor to turn his attention to the real problems of the city. He didn't come to see me at all. He came in to get votes and then went on to tend to his own issues. I complained to the city hall, I even sent them pictures, and still they didn't come. They even ironically urged him to accept the fact that the infrastructure is destroyed. The road is only paved only if your eyes don't work properly. It is only enough for cars to pass, but simply, we do not have asphalt on our roads. Children are the ones who suffer most from this lack of infrastructure. On the way to school, when it rains, our sneakers are filled with water and mud. The street, Mersin Mema, is located in the municipality of 11, but the residents say that despite paying their taxes, no investments have been made by the municipality of Tirana. And finally, oilmen at the Balch plant have continued their protests today and have gathered in front of the plant. It is learned that a group of negotiators will meet tomorrow at the Ministry of Infrastructure with the Vice Minister, while the rest of them will meet again in front of the prefecture in Fier. Tomorrow, we have appointed a group of 4 negotiators from the staff to make a meeting with the Deputy Minister. If there is no solution, then they will protest in front of the Prime Minister. There is no other solution until the salaries are paid and whether or not the work will continue. If the work is to be continued, then they will give us what is required by Albanian law. This is a for-profit company, and despite the up-and-coming tenants, we hope that any solution is legally required, and we believe we will have a compromise tomorrow, some of the workers says. They said they are more united than ever because they are seeking their lawful rights and the back pay that the company is obliged to compensate. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and good night.